Stop. Who is that? Some caretaker?
Keep the machine ready.
Ma'am, he's on the bank. Stop the bucket.
This bridge is coming down.
Stop.
He said stop?
Sir, step back. This is private land.
Private, that's cute.
Lower the bucket.
That bridge is in our way.
It is not yours. We have authorization.
From people who understand progress. Should we keep going? You're the caretaker, right?
No.
Then call whoever owns it.
You're looking. Wait, maybe we should check.
No, continue. Move him back.
Sir, you need to step away. Do not damage anything else.
He doesn't get to order this site.
Call the county. He's serious.
Did he say he owns it?
I thought it was HOA access.
The permit says public approach.
the other day.
Why won't you look at his papers?
That junk belongs in disposal.
This belonged to the bridge. Continue.
Wait, it has a name on it. Built by Mercer.
Mercer.
The yellow excavator was already biting into the old wooden bridge when the quiet black man in a faded work jacket stepped out of the trees. "Stop," he said, calm enough to make the workers laugh. The HOA president smiled like she owned the river, the road, and him. "That bridge is in our way," she snapped. "But what happens when the thing you destroy is the one thing your $42 million project legally needs? What if the man you dismissed as a caretaker is the only person who can certify the crossing? And why did his hands tremble only when he saw the brass plaque in the dirt? Stay until the end, because one bridge was about to bring an empire to its knees." The excavator's alarm kept beeping after the bucket stopped, each sharp note bouncing off the creek. Elijah Mercer stood on the muddy bank with rainwater darkening jeans. No one moved. Then one worker laughed. Claire Benton turned from the torn railing. "Sir, this is an active construction area." "It is private land," Elijah said. Kent Morrow climbed down with a folded permit. "We've got authorization." "From whom?" "Harbor Oaks Reserve, county stamp, HOA sign-off." Kent tapped the page. "That's enough." The creek smelled of wet clay and diesel. A splinter of white railing floated in brown water. Claire stepped closer. "You're the caretaker, correct? The man who cuts brush?" "No." "Then call the office. We mailed notices." "To an address outside your association." Her smile thinned. "Progress makes everyone uncomfortable." The operator leaned from the cab. "Ms. Benton, keep going?" Elijah's eyes moved to the old oak beams, to where a brass plaque had been screwed into the first post. The screws were gone. The plaque lay face down in the mud, half pressed beneath a track mark. "Stop the equipment," Elijah said. Kent snapped the permit open. "You hear him? He thinks he's running the site." A few workers grinned. One young man in an orange vest did not. He stared at the private bridge sign bent against a stump. Claire raised her voice for the neighbors. "This bridge has delayed a $42 million improvement for 6 weeks. It is unsafe, undocumented, and obstructive. We are clearing it today." Elijah looked at her. "Who inspected it?" "The developers team." "Who owns it?" "The community uses it." "That wasn't my question." The beeping stopped. The creak sounded louder. Claire's cheeks tightened. "What did you say your name was?" "I didn't." "Fine. You can play games with county clerks, but not here." She pointed at his faded jacket. "People show up when work starts and expect us to wait because they found an old sign." No one laughed this time. A woman near the road raised her phone. Kent stepped closer. "Move back." "I'm not in its path." "You're interfering." "I'm documenting." "With what?" Claire said. "Your eyes?" Elijah brought out his cracked phone. He took one photo of the permit, one of the track marks, one of the plaque. Kent shifted to block him. "Don't photograph my paperwork. Then hold it where the county can read it." "That's enough," Claire snapped. The engine revved, and the bucket lifted, dripping clay. Elijah's hand went down slowly, not to stop it, but to pick up the brass plaque. It was colder than morning. Mud filled the engraved letters. He rubbed once with his thumb and uncovered 3 words. "Built by Mercer." A gray-haired neighbor whispered, Mercer? Claire heard it. Back up, everyone. This is liability now. Elijah slid the plaque into his inside pocket. The metal tapped once against his chest. Put the bucket down and call the county before you damage anything else. Kent glanced at Claire. Claire looked at the broken bridge, then at the survey flags climbing toward the future subdivision. Continue, she said. The bucket swung toward the second post, and Elijah saw, under the torn railing, a fresh orange mark painted over the old property pin. At 6:18 that same morning, before diesel smoke reached the creek, Elijah Mercer parked his pickup beside the mailbox and let the engine tick quiet. The storm had washed leaves across the lane. Cold air slipped through the window, carrying pine sap, wet clay, and cypress run running high. He sat with both hands on the wheel. Just a look, he told the empty cab. A folded photograph was tucked in the visor, Denise laughing with a paintbrush in her hand, a streak of white across her cheek. Behind her, the bridge railings shone new. Elijah touched the corner once, then climbed out. The path was slick. Water dripped from branches. The bridge rose out of mist. He ran his hand along the first railing. The paint flaked under his palm. "You held," he murmured. The creak struck the pilings with a low thud. He crossed one plank at a time, listening. Third board from the south end, hollow knock. Fifth support, solid. His father had taught him that, after the flood of '96, when half the county said the crossing could not be saved. A truck door slammed beyond the trees. Elijah stopped. "Hello?" No answer. Only a crow above the pines and water over stone. Near the far end, an orange ribbon twisted from a sapling. 3 red survey flags stabbed the moss. Fresh boot prints pressed the mud. A painted line crossed the old property pin and ran toward the gravel drive. He crouched. No. A damp paper tag hung from one stake. Harbor Oaks Reserve Phase 2 access corridor. The ink had bled, but the arrow was clear. It pointed across his bridge. His phone vibrated. Alma Price's name filled the screen. "Elijah?" Her voice carried the scrape of a chair. "You down by the water?" "Yes, ma'am. I saw men yesterday. Orange vests. They said the HOA cleared it." "What did they say exactly?" "That the old bridge belonged to common access now. I told them your daddy built it. One of them said records change." Elijah looked at the white railing where Denise's hand had rested. The paint had peeled in the shape of 4 fingers. "Did Claire Benton talk to you?" "She sent a letter. Promised the new road would raise values. She didn't mention tearing anything down." "I'll go by their office." "Take somebody with you." "No need." "Elijah." He wiped rain from the property pin. "I'll take the deed." At the shed, he unlocked a metal cabinet and pulled out a blue folder wrapped in plastic. Inside were surveys, flood permits, inspection notes, and Mercer family trust papers. He spread them on the pickup hood. A black SUV slowed at the end of the lane. The passenger window lowered just enough for a young woman with a tablet to study him. "You lost?" Elijah asked. "We're checking access for construction." "This is not access." She glanced at the screen. "It's marked as future service route." "By whom?" "I just follow the map, sir." The window rose. Gravel spat toward the HOA office. Elijah folded the trust papers. His fingers stopped on the raised seal. The morning felt colder now. Flags before notice, paint over pins, strangers reading his land from a screen. He looked back at the bridge. A white chip of paint clung to his palm. He tried to brush it off, but it stayed beneath his thumb as he started the truck toward town. The HOA office smelled of new carpet. Elijah wiped mud from his boots, stepped inside, and stopped at the lobby table. A white model of Harbor Oaks Reserve covered it, its road crossing a creek where his bridge should have been. A woman behind the counter looked up. "Can I help you?" "I need Claire Benton." "Appointment?" "No, Elijah Mercer." Her fingers paused. "Marla Keene. Is this about landscaping?" "It's about this." He set the damp envelope on the counter. The HOA seal had bled in the rain and left a gray stripe across his palm. Marla read the first line. "Common access clearing. My land is not in your association." The inner door opened. Claire Benton came out with a coffee cup. "Marla, tell Bryce the county packet is—" She saw Elijah. Her smile arrived late. "You must be the gentleman from the creek." "Elijah Mercer." "The caretaker." "No." Marla lowered her eyes. Elijah opened the blue folder and placed the deed on the counter, seal facing up. "This parcel sits outside HOA boundaries. The bridge is private. Your notice is invalid." Claire did not touch it. "People use that crossing." "By permission." That distinction does not build communities. A side door clicked. Bryce Caldwell entered with rolled plans. "Claire, investors are waiting." "This is the bridge concern," she said. Bryce studied Elijah's faded jacket. "Harbor Oaks Reserve brings jobs, drainage, emergency access. That old bridge is a temporary obstruction." Elijah looked at the model. White houses curved around a pond that did not exist yet. "Who approved that route?" "Our civil team." "Did they inspect the bridge?" "They reviewed records." "Not the same thing." Claire set her cup down. The knock sounded too loud. "You're not here to lecture professionals." "No, I'm here to stop trespass." Marla's pen stopped tapping. Bryce unrolled a glossy map across the table. "See this line? Service access from Cypress Run Road. Your crossing was classified as community approach after the flood easement." Elijah leaned in. One pale gray line swallowed the parcel edge. "That easement expired after reconstruction." "We have counsel," Bryce said. "You should call them." Claire's face tightened. "Are you threatening this board?" "I'm asking you to read the deed." He slid the trust papers beside the map. "File a formal objection," Claire said. "Until then, we proceed." "With demolition?" "With clearing unsafe obstacles." Cold air moved across Elijah's wet sleeves. "If you damage that bridge, you damage private infrastructure." Bryce checked his watch. "We can discuss compensation later." "It is not for sale." Everything becomes negotiable when progress reaches it. Outside, rain ticked against the windows. Marla cleared her throat. "Claire, his deed does show." "Not now," Claire said. Marla flinched and slid the envelope back without meeting his eyes. Claire opened the front door. "Please leave before this becomes disruptive." Elijah picked up the envelope. The gray smear from the seal had dried on his palm like ash. At the threshold, he looked once more at the model, at the white road already drawn across the place where his father's bridge stood. Behind him, Bryce said, "Get Morrow on site at first light." Red survey ribbons snapped in the wind, bright against the woods. Elijah followed them from the gravel lane toward Cypress Run with the blue folder under his arm. Every few yards, another stake waited where no stake belonged. He crouched at the first iron property pin. Orange paint cut across the rusted cap. Somebody moved the line. A screen door creaked from the cottage above the bend. Alma Price came down in a quilted coat, one hand on her cane, silver hair pinned loose. "I was hoping you'd come back before they did." "You saw them place these?" "Two men yesterday. One with a tablet, one with a wheel." She gripped the fence rail. "Claire said the new road would help ambulances reach me. She did not say it would eat your side of the creek." "Did they show you a map?" colored lines. I wanted to believe it. Wanting access isn't wrong. Letting them take it from you is. Elijah opened the folder on his pickup hood. The papers fluttered in the cold. Alma leaned close, smelling faintly of lavender soap. This pin marks the west boundary. Their corridor should stop 46 feet that way. She looked at the stake in the moss. That one is almost at your bridge. His phone buzzed. County permitting. Cypress Hollow. This is Elijah Mercer. Keyboard clicks filled his ear. Mr. Mercer, this is Teresa Lyle. I received your message. Did your office compare it with Parcel 18-B? The developer provided consolidated maps. That is not an answer. Sir, I'm telling you what is in the system. The system has my private bridge marked as common approach. Then you may submit a correction request. Before demolition, work authorization has already been reviewed. Reviewed by whom? By the applicant's engineer and our intake desk. When can I object? 3 weeks from Thursday. The wind lifted the folder. Alma caught one page before it slid into the mud. They are bringing equipment tomorrow, Elijah said. I understand your concern. No, you understand a form. Teresa's voice dropped. Bring ownership and bridge certification records to county archives. Ask for Ruth Anna Bell, but I cannot stop work based on a phone call. The line ended with a soft click. Alma handed back the page. Her fingers trembled. What did she say? That the developer checked itself. That sounds like asking a fox to count chickens. Elijah almost smiled. Then a white pickup rolled past the lane. Kent Morrow sat behind the wheel. He raised 2 fingers like a neighbor, but his eyes stayed on the stakes. Elijah photographed the truck. Alma touched the ribbon nearest her gate. If they close that bridge, my medical van has to go around 12 miles. I know. You always say that quietly when you're angry. I'm not angry. Elijah slid the deed back into plastic, then marked each false stake with a photo and GPS note. At the last one, beside the swollen creek, he found a fresh boot print pressed over the old survey stone. He brushed leaves away with 2 fingers. Under the mud, the stone was still there. From the road came the distant cough of machinery starting up, too early for any neighbor's yard work. Alma heard it too. Neither of them spoke, as the red ribbons kept trembling between the trees. At 4:52 p.m., folding chairs scraped across gravel near the bridge while the sky turned pewter. Claire Benton had arranged them in a half-circle facing Cypress Run. Elijah stood by his pickup with the blue folder against his chest. Damp wind worried corners. Martin Hale, 61, a retired mail carrier with a sunken cap, nodded from the second row. Didn't know there was a meeting. Neither did I, Elijah said. A younger woman lifted her phone, then lowered it when Claire looked over. Chalk dust marked her sleeve. Jenna Ross, she said. 5th grade teacher. This bridge is private. I know. Some of us know. Claire clapped once. Neighbors, thank you for coming. Harbor Oaks Reserve will correct the unsafe approach at the creek. Progress cannot be held hostage by confusion. Bryce Caldwell stood near a site plan against his SUV. This access supports emergency response, staging, and drainage. Delay costs everyone. Elijah stepped forward. May I speak? Claire smiled at the crowd. This is not a hearing. It is my land. A few heads turned. Martin removed his cap. Claire's voice sharpened. This gentleman maintains brush near the crossing. He is attached to old things. Elijah opened the folder. The papers bent in the wind until his knuckles pressed white along the edges. Parcel 18B is outside your boundary. The bridge was built by Mercer Family Trust after the 1996 flood. I have the deed. expired easement and inspection notes. Bryce gave a soft laugh. Paper does not make a bridge safe. No, Elijah said. Inspection does. Kent Morrow, beside a pickup loaded with cones, looked at the planks. He did not laugh. Claire raised her hand. We are not letting a maintenance man confuse everyone with old documents. Jenna's phone rose again. A red dot glowed. Elijah kept his eyes on Claire. Give me 5 minutes with the county file. You had weeks. I received your notice this morning. That is a mailbox issue. No, it is a boundary issue. Alma Price stood at the back with both hands on her cane. His father built it. Claire did not face her. Alma, we are improving access for people like you. My medical van uses that bridge. Later you will have a better road. If I need my doctor tomorrow? Water slapped the pilings under broken white paint. Bryce checked his watch. Claire, site prep at dawn. Claire turned to Kent. Equipment at 6:30. Cones at both ends. Elijah folded the deed slowly. You are making a record of notice. We are making a record of obstruction, Claire said. Martin shifted as if to stand, gripped the chair back, then sat again. Jenna lowered her phone. Are we allowed to ask questions? After formal submissions. There is no board here, Elijah said. Claire stepped close enough that her perfume cut through wet leaves. Then file your complaint where people have time for it. For 1 second, only paper flexed in Elijah's hands. He tucked the bent documents back into the folder. Kent unloaded cones without meeting him. As neighbors broke apart, Jenna brushed past Elijah and whispered, I recorded enough. Across the creek, a flatbed arrived with steel plates, and its reverse alarm began counting down the morning before anyone was ready. By 11:37 p.m., the flatbed was gone, but the steel plates beside the lane still shone like dark ice. Elijah parked without headlights and walked the last 100 yards with his flashlight low. Cypress Run moved black under the bridge. Frogs clicked in the grass, then stopped when his boot touched the first plank. The air smelled of diesel, cedar, and mud. He knelt at the south beam and brushed moss away. A stamped number surfaced, CR-18B-MF-1997. He photographed it twice. Still here, he whispered. His phone buzzed. Jenna Ross. I shouldn't call this late, she said. You're awake. So are you. I watched the video again. When Claire said you had weeks, Bryce looked down. Like he knew. Send me the file. I did. Martin says the HOA board never voted on demolition. Claire called it emergency maintenance. Elijah slid under the railing, cold damp soaking one sleeve. That matters. Does it stop them? Not by sunrise. I'm sorry I sat there. You stood up. He aimed the light under the first post. Beneath Clay, a small aluminum tag clung to the timber. The year was faint, but his initials were not. EM. Keep the video safe, he said. I will. After she hung up, he photographed the tag. The flash struck the creek and vanished. A truck eased onto the lane. Elijah killed his light. Tires rolled over gravel. A door opened. Kent Morrow's flashlight swept the trees, crossed the bent private bridge sign, then found Elijah's boots. Hell, Kent muttered. You trying to get yourself hurt? No. Then don't crawl under work zones at midnight. This is not a work zone yet. Kent came closer, jacket open, breath white in the beam. Take your pictures and go home. Who gave you the bridge number? What? Your permit lists public approach CR-18. This bridge is CR-18BMF. Different structure, different parcel. Maps came from Bryce. Did you compare them to the archive? I build what I'm assigned. You signed the safety sheet. Kent looked toward the steel plates. Temporary access only. For an excavator? That's the plan. Elijah set a paint chip on the rail. Those plates don't distribute load on this span. Kent's flashlight dropped to the beam. For the first time, his face changed. You a bridge man? I know enough to read a number. Claire wants the east rail down by 7. She can want anything. No, Kent said. Investors walk at 9. If I refuse, Bryce replaces me before coffee. And if you proceed on a wrong permit? Kent folded the paper until it creased. That's not my fight. It became yours when you saw the sign. A raccoon moved in the brush, leaves ticking. Kent flinched. Elijah aimed the flashlight at the old survey stone. An orange line crossed directly over it. Kent saw it too. Don't be here at 6:30, Kent said. Why? Because she's bringing half the neighborhood to watch the problem disappear. He walked back to his truck, then stopped. I never said this. The demolition order's in Claire's email, not the county packet. Taillights pulled away, staining the wet road red. Elijah stood alone until their glow disappeared. Then he took one last photograph. The bridge number, the orange line, and the tag inside the same square of light. At 6:31 a.m., the first cone hit gravel with a hollow clack. Elijah stood near the south approach, blue folder under one arm, phone recording. Mist hung over Cypress Run. The white rail was chipped where Denise had painted it. Kent Morrow stepped from his truck. I told you not to be here. You told me why I should be. Behind him, the excavator rolled off steel plates with a groan. Its alarm cut the morning into pieces. Alma watched from her fence. Martin kept his hands in his pockets. Jenna held her phone low. Claire Benton arrived in cream gloves too bright for the mud. Bryce Caldwell followed. Claire pointed at Elijah. Move him back. Kent held up a sheet. Work authorization. County stamp. Elijah stayed clear. Your sheet name's CR-18. This bridge is CR-18B-MF. The parcel number is wrong. Bryce lowered his earpiece. He keeps saying that. Because it remains true. Claire faced neighbors. This is how projects get delayed. One man, one folder, endless confusion. Alma's cane tapped the road. Let him speak. We have spoken for 6 weeks, Claire said. I received notice yesterday. That is your claim. He opened the folder. Wind bent deed. Then look. Claire did not touch it. Kent, proceed. The operator leaned from cab. You sure? Yes. Take the rail first. Kent looked at the private bridge sign, then at paint over the survey stone. We should pause. Bryce stepped close. Do your job. The bucket lifted. Clay dropped from its teeth. Elijah shut the folder, then raised his phone. Jenna whispered, I'm recording too. The metal teeth touched the white railing. For 1 second, there was only the creak, the hiss of mist through grass. Alma's breathing. Then wood cracked. A splinter landed near Elijah's boot. The rail hung loose, torn end fresh and pale. Martin took off his cap. Claire's chin lifted. Remove the hazard. Elijah looked at Kent. You damaged private infrastructure after notice. Kent swallowed. Back up from the edge. I am not in its path. The county won't sort that out if you're under a bucket. Something in his voice made Elijah step back. The excavator bit again. The rail broke free and fell toward the creek. A white sliver spun once on the water and drifted under the bridge. Alma turned away. Bryce checked his watch. We're losing daylight. It's morning, Jenna said. Claire heard her. Sharing footage may create liability. Jenna's phone shook, but she kept it up. Elijah crouched at the first post. Mud had swallowed the brass plaque, but a track had pressed one edge into view. He slid 2 fingers under it and lifted. Cold metal came away with a wet sound. Claire stared. Leave site materials alone. This belonged to the bridge. That junk belongs in disposal. Elijah rubbed the plaque with his sleeve. Brown water streaked his cuff. 3 words emerged. Built by Mercer. Martin's cap hung from his hand. Mercer? Elijah put the plaque inside his jacket. Bryce looked from the plaque to the folder. Claire. She snapped, "Continue." The bucket swung toward the second post. Elijah's camera caught the wrong permit in Kent's hand, the bent sign, the painted line over the property pin, and the moment Kent looked away before the next strike. The second strike came quieter than the first. Wood gave way in a dull snap, and the bridge seemed to sag over Cypress Run. Elijah did not move until the bucket swung clear. "Mr. Mercer," Kent said, "step back. You already said that." Claire brushed mud from one cream glove. "Kent, clear the lane. We have a schedule." Bryce no longer smiled. His eyes stayed on the brass plaque under Elijah's jacket. Jenna stood by the cones, phone raised. "Are you going to keep going after he showed ownership?" Claire turned. "You are recording a legal work site." "It looks like a private road." Before Claire answered, Alma Price's medical van appeared at the bend. The driver slowed at the cones. "Mrs. Price? They told me this would be open." Alma lifted her cane. "I have my appointment." Claire walked toward him. "Use the county detour today." "That's 12 miles, the driver said. "She can't sit that long after dialysis." The word landed quietly. Even the excavator idled lower. Alma tried to step forward. Her cane slipped in wet gravel. Martin caught her elbow. "I'm all right," she said, though her mouth had gone thin. Elijah crossed to her. "Sit in my truck, Miss Alma." "I don't want to be trouble." "You are not trouble." Elijah looked from the broken rail to the boxed-in van. "You made the road unusable before building the new one." Bryce spoke low to Kent. "Can we lay plates?" "Not across a damaged span. Not for that van." Jenna lowered her phone. "So she misses care because investors need progress?" No one answered. Inside Elijah's pickup, the cab smelled of old vinyl and rain. He gave Alma a water bottle and turned the cap. "Your hands are shaking." "Cold morning." "That plaque is your father's." "Yes." "And you're going to let them think it's just a name?" Elijah watched Claire on her phone, Bryce pacing, Kent holding the wrong permit. "Not today." "Why not?" "Truth said too soon becomes noise." Alma studied him. "Your daddy say that?" "My wife." The name he did not speak stayed in the cab. Jenna came to the open door. "I sent the video to myself. Martin has a copy too. I heard Claire say the board approved emergency action." Martin approached, cap in both hands. "There was no vote. Last meeting was landscaping fines." Elijah nodded. "Write it down while it's fresh." Claire's voice rose behind them. "Everyone needs to leave." Elijah stepped out and closed Alma's door gently. He pulled the brass plaque from his jacket. Mud clogged the letters. He rubbed with his thumb, then his sleeve. Brown grit packed beneath his nails until the words came back. Built by Mercer. Beneath that, smaller, A.M. Mercer, 1997. For a breath he saw his father at the first post, Denise laughing as white paint ran down her wrist. He turned away before anyone could read his face. Kent came close. "County Archive opens at 8. Elijah looked at him. "Ruthanna Bell keeps flood files downstairs." Kent glanced at Claire. "I never told you." "You just did." "Then use it." Elijah slid the plaque into the blue folder, leaving a damp rectangle on the deed. Across the broken approach, orange survey ribbons snapped in the wind, pointing toward a road that suddenly depended on papers no one had bothered to read. 8:04 a.m. Elijah pushed through the county archives door with clay drying on his cuffs. The basement air was cool and paper dry, smelling of old folders and coffee burned too long. Teresa Lyle looked up. "Mr. Mercer, you told me to ask for Ruth Anna Bell. I said she may know where older flood files are kept. Then I need them." "This is not a same-day correction process," Teresa said. "Eliminating a bridge was." She pressed the desk phone. "Ruth Anna? Parcel 18B. Yes, the bridge man." Elijah did not correct her. Ruth Anna Bell came from behind the shelves with half-moon glasses on a silver chain and a gray cardigan loose on one shoulder. At 66, she moved slowly, but her fingers found file tabs without looking. "Bridge man? Landowner. Show me what they ignored." Elijah opened the blue folder on a long oak table. The brass plaque lay inside a plastic sleeve. Teresa saw the engraved name and came closer. Ruth Anna touched the sleeve, not the metal. "Andrew Mercer. I remember that flood. My father rebuilt the crossing after the emergency easement expired." "People forget expired means expired." Ruth Anna pointed toward a locked cage. "Teresa, drawer F-12. I don't have clearance for. You have shoes. Walk." Ruth Anna lifted a gray archive box onto the table. Dust rose in the fluorescent light. The first folder cracked with a dry, brittle snap. Elijah's fingers went still. For 1 second, it sounded like wood giving way. They worked page by page. Flood declarations. Temporary access orders. A photograph showed the bridge before railings. His father younger than memory. Sleeves rolled above dark forearms. Teresa returned. "That's your family?" Elijah slid the photograph back. "That's the bridge." Ruth Anna found the survey next. "Here." The ink had faded brown, but the line was clear. Mercer Family Trust. Private crossing. No public dedication. Teresa whispered, "Our system shows common approach." "Your system is wrong," Elijah said. "It may have imported from the developer's map." "Maps made for investors are not rights," Ruth Anna said. Elijah tapped the page. "There should be a certification record." "The digital file is blank after 2011, Teresa said. "Missing?" "Not scanned." "Then we stay with paper." At the bottom of the stack lay a cream certificate with the county seal pressed deep enough to feel. Ruth Anna read aloud. "Private structure CR-18B-MF, Cypress Run, Mercer Family Trust. Heavy equipment access prohibited without owner-engineer certification." Teresa covered her mouth. Elijah did not move. "Separate approval required for construction staging, emergency routing, or development access," Ruth Anna finished. Elijah set the brass plaque beside the certificate. The old metal caught the light. The raised seal answered it. Teresa whispered. They had no right to touch it. "Rights don't stop a bucket," Elijah said. "No." Ruth Anna slid the certificate into a copier tray. "Records can stop the next one." Teresa picked up the phone, then hesitated. "If I call permitting now, they'll ask who escalated it." Elijah looked at her. "Say the archive did." The first copy slid out, smelling of toner. On top sat the sentence no one at the bridge had wanted to read. The copier finished with a soft clatter, and Teresa Lyle slid the warm page across the archive table. Elijah folded it once, not across the seal. "Can you certify this copy?" he asked. "I can certify that it came from county records." Teresa reached for the stamp. "I cannot stop a site crew from down here." "Then give me the time." The blue ink spread into the fibers. 8:41 a.m. Ruthanna Bell placed the flood photo beside it. People believe pictures when words become inconvenient. Elijah slid the certificate and photograph into plastic with the brass plaque. The old metal clicked against paper. Outside, Elijah sat in his truck. His jacket still carried creek mud. He stared at the county seal until his phone vibrated. Nina Soto. Elijah Mercer. A woman's voice came through, clipped and alert. You don't call at 8:46 unless a bridge is angry. I need a registry check. CR-18B-MF. Cypress Run. Private span. Mercer Family Trust. Silence tightened the line. Elijah, Nina said, softer. That's your father's bridge. Yes. What happened? They began demolition under CR-18 public approach. Who signed off? Developer packet. HOA pressure. County intake. Keys woke under her fingers. I'm in the state bridge unit, not a miracle shop. I need the public-facing status. Why isn't the county doing this? Because the county is catching up to the bucket. The heater fan clicked in the dash. Nina's typing stopped. Found it. Reconstructed 1997 after flood washout. Last owner inspection filed 2019. Restrictions remain active. Read them. No construction staging, heavy machinery, emergency access designation, or development dependency may rely on this structure without current certification by licensed bridge engineer authorized by owner. She paused. Owner engineer certification, not third-party convenience. Send the status page to Teresa Lyle and copy me. I'll also note the registry conflicts with the permit description. That's enough. No, it isn't. Is anyone on the span? Not now. His thumb moved over the brass plaque. Dirt still sat under one nail. They broke the rail, he said. Nina's voice lost its edge. Andrew would have raised thunder. He taught me to document before thunder. And Denise. The cab seemed smaller. She would have told me to breathe before I answered. Then breathe. I'm sending it now. His phone buzzed before the call ended. Then again. Jenna Ross. Her message read, Listen at 0213. Elijah pressed play. Claire stood near the bridge, cream glove raised. We are aware there may be boundary confusion, Claire's recorded voice said, but the developer has agreed to resolve ownership disputes after clearing the unsafe access. Martin's voice asked, After? We cannot let one parcel stall the community. Elijah paused it. The phone vibrated again beside cleaned brass plaque with Teresa's name. I got the state notice, she said. Permitting is calling an emergency review. When? Now. But Bryce Caldwell's office just submitted a revised safety memo. Based on what? On a bridge that may no longer exist as permitted. Elijah looked toward the road to Cypress Run. Then we need them to see it before they rewrite it. By 9:26 a.m., the room smelled of toner, wet wool, and burned coffee. Elijah stood beside Teresa Lyle while she clipped the certified bridge record to Caldwell's memo. This memo says the bridge is non-essential, Teresa said. It was essential at 6:30, Elijah replied. Harold Dean rubbed his eyes. Caldwell is on speaker. Bryce's voice came bright. Harold, this is route terminology. Our project does not depend on a private structure. Elijah set his phone on the table and played Jenna's video. Bryce's own voice filled the room. This access supports emergency response, staging, and drainage. No one spoke until the clip ended. Harold leaned toward the speaker. That sounded like dependency. Context matters, Bryce said. So does a stamped record, Teresa said. Nina Soto's email arrived on Harold's tablet at 9:31. He read it twice. Outside, a dump truck hissed past the window toward Cypress Run. Teresa, issue a temporary stop work order. All activity near CR-18B-MF stops pending review. Bryce's tone changed. Investors are on site in 20 minutes. Then they can watch compliance. The printer groaned. One page slid out with a red county header. Teresa stamped it hard enough to shake the desk. Elijah signed the witness line. His name looked steadier than his hand felt. At 9:48, a county SUV pulled onto the muddy lane by the bridge. Workers stood around the idle excavator. Claire Benton was on her phone, one cream glove pressed to her ear. Kent saw Elijah first. His shoulders dropped. Teresa stepped out, holding the order in a plastic sleeve. "All work stops immediately." Claire laughed once. "On whose authority?" "Cypress Hollow County permitting review. We already have authorization. You had the wrong bridge number." Bryce arrived in a black SUV. He closed the door softly. "Let me handle this." Teresa handed him the order. The red words, "Stop work order," cut across the page. Bryce read the first line. "This is temporary." "Yes," Elijah said. "So was the easement." Claire turned on him. "You're enjoying this?" He looked past her to the broken railing. "No." An investor in a navy coat stepped from another car. Simon Gray, 55, had silver hair flattened by rain. "Bryce, why is machinery stopped?" "Routine permit clarification," Bryce said. Simon looked at the snapped rail, cones, and Alma's medical van blocked near the cottage. "That does not look routine." Kent reached into his truck and pulled out printed emails. There were warnings. Claire's head snapped toward him. "Kent, I asked for archive confirmation Monday. I was told to remove the bridge before complaints multiplied." "That is not what I meant." "You wrote it." Rain tapped on Teresa's plastic sleeve. Elijah picked up a white splinter from the mud and set it on his truck hood. The paint had peeled where Denise's brush had left a raised line. Simon watched the small piece of wood. "Bryce," he said, "how many lots require this access plan?" Bryce did not answer quickly enough. From the broken approach, Alma's driver called, "Can anyone tell me if this road opens today?" No one moved toward him. The red order fluttered in Teresa's hand, and behind it, the silent excavator still faced the second post. Rain clicked against the hearing room windows, while the projector showed Cypress Run as a thin blue line. Elijah sat in the second row, with the blue folder on his knees. Claire Benton sat beside Bryce Caldwell, and a lawyer uncapping the same pen. Kent Morrow sat alone behind them. Jenna Ross waited near the back wall, phone ready. Alma Price took the aisle chair. Harold Dean adjusted the microphone. This session concerns private infrastructure damage and the stop work order. Claire rose. The association acted in good faith. We relied on county materials. Did the board vote to remove the bridge? Harold asked. The matter fell under emergency maintenance discretion. Martin Hale called. Last vote was mailbox colors. Bryce stood. Our project is not dependent on that bridge. Teresa Lyle placed a page on the table. Your packet lists Cypress Run crossing as required emergency access. Preliminary language, Bryce said. Nora King, 41, a local reporter with cropped auburn hair, looked up. Harold nodded to Jenna. Play the video. The screen changed. Claire appeared beside the bridge. We are aware there may be boundary confusion, recorded Claire said, but the developer has agreed to resolve ownership disputes after clearing the unsafe access. Harold turned to Claire. Did you know ownership was disputed before work began? Claims appear whenever progress begins. Alma's cane tapped the floor. He showed you papers. Claire did not turn. Teresa projected the archive certificate. Private structure, CIR-18B-MF, Heavy equipment access prohibited without owner-engineer certification. Bryce leaned toward his lawyer. Certification could have been obtained. Elijah stood. From whom? Harold asked. Bryce faced him. Any qualified inspector acceptable to the owner. No, Elijah said. The microphone carried the word to the back row. Harold gestured. Mr. Mercer, come forward. Elijah walked the aisle. The carpet smelled damp. The lights hummed. At the table, he set down the brass plaque, a flood photograph, and his state engineering license. Nora's pen started moving. Harold read the card. You are a licensed bridge engineer? Yes. And your relation to Mercer Family Trust? Trustee and owner of Parcel 18-B. Bryce stared at the license. Claire's expression slipped. Are you authorized to certify that bridge for development access? Elijah rested 2 fingers on the plaque. Mud darkened his father's name. I am the only living person authorized by the trust to do so. The lawyer stopped, uncapping his pen. Can the damaged bridge be certified now? Harold asked. Elijah looked at the broken white rail on the screen, then at Alma. Not as it stands. Bryce exhaled. Then we will pay for repairs. Elijah turned toward him. Repair is not the same as trust. No one filled the space after that. Harold leaned into the microphone. Could you supervise restoration if ordered? Rain ran down the window behind the seal. Jenna lowered her phone. Kent looked at his boots. Claire stared at her stained cream gloves. Elijah answered, I can. Nora's pen stopped on those 2 words, while the map on the wall still showed a road crossing a bridge no one in power had bothered to see. Harold Dean did not gavel the room quiet. He removed his glasses, folded them on the table, and let the projector hum until everyone stopped shifting. Based on the documents presented, he said, all Harbor Oaks Reserve permits connected to Cypress Run access are suspended pending full review. Bryce Caldwell stood so fast his chair hit the wall. You cannot freeze a $42 million development over a rail. No, Harold said, over access, drainage, emergency routing, and damaged private infrastructure. Phones lit along the back row. Nora King kept writing. Claire bent toward Bryce. Say something. Our investors need certainty, Bryce said. Then you should have brought records, Elijah replied. Bryce turned on him. This is personal for you. Elijah looked at the brass plaque beside his license. It became personal when your bucket reached the post. Kent Morrow rose from the 3rd row. His work boots left damp marks on the carpet. I saw the mismatch. Claire's face tightened. Kent, sit down. He did not. CR-18 on the packet. CR-18 Beach Medsmedisch MF on the bridge. I asked for archive confirmation Monday. Bryce said, a routine question. I asked because the sign said private and the survey paint crossed an old pin. Kent held up 3 printed emails. I was told the investor walk mattered more than another delay. Harold reached for the pages. By whom? Kent looked at Bryce first, then Claire. Both. Claire's cream gloves rested on her lap, palms up, no longer clean. The door opened. Marla Keene stepped in with a brown envelope hugged to her chest. Her blouse was wrinkled under a raincoat, and her red hair had slipped from its clip. I have HOA records, she said. Claire stood. Marla, this is not your place. That is what you said when he brought the deed. Marla handed the envelope to Teresa. Draft minutes, emails, emergency forms. No board vote for demolition. The notice list excluded Parcel 18-B because our system marked it non-member. Harold took the first page. Then why was notice sent? Marla looked at Elijah for less than a second. Because Mrs. Benton asked me to make it look standard. A sound moved through the room, not a gasp, more like chairs learning to breathe. Claire faced the neighbors. I was protecting property values. Alma Price's cane tapped once. You blocked my van. Claire opened her mouth. Nothing came. Harold announced a recess, but no one left. Bryce spoke into his phone. Kent sat with elbows on knees, staring at the carpet. In the hallway, Marla twisted her badge lanyard. I should have said something yesterday. Yes, she flinched. But you said it today, Elijah added. That may not be enough. It is a start. On the bench lay a white splinter he had carried in without thinking. He tucked it into the blue folder. By evening, the HOA called an emergency meeting in the clubhouse. The first row held 7 folding chairs. Claire's chair sat empty, while residents read the stop order and legal estimates. Martin Hale stood with his cap in both hands. Are dues paying this? No one on the board answered. Outside the windows, Cypress Run ran dark beyond the trees, and inside, the empty chair faced them all like someone finally telling the truth. At 7:12 the next morning, the county conference room was colder than the hallway. Elijah kept his jacket on, while Harold Dean spread 3 pages across the table: repair estimate, access memo, and a draft procedure. We can order restitution, Harold said. We can't rebuild trust by Friday. No, Elijah said, but you can stop this from happening to the next parcel. Bryce Caldwell sat opposite him, tie loosened. Claire Benton was absent. Teresa Lyle slid a rule sheet forward. Independent review before any private structure is used in a development access plan. Direct owner notice by certified mail. Public posting of easements with expiration dates. And no developer map replaces archive verification, Ruthanna Bell said. Bryce's aide leaned in. Harbor Oaks can pay for repairs under protest. The bridge will not be restored under protest, Elijah said. Bryce's jaw worked. What do you want? Written acknowledgement. Restoration by a crew I approve. No construction traffic until I certify the span. Medical access for Mrs. Price today. And an audit of the HOA process that treated a non-member parcel like association property. One board member swallowed. An audit makes us look negligent. Teresa capped her pen. The emails already did. By noon, a temporary crew stood at Cypress Run. Danny Fox, 48, square-shouldered with rain beads in his gray beard, studied the broken rail. Span's wounded, not dead, Danny said. No vehicles. Pedestrian only if we brace here and here. Kent Morrow unloaded lumber. Where do you want the support? Elijah pointed. Against the old joist. Don't drill into the stamped beam. Kent paused. I won't touch your father's mark. The creek moved under them, brown and steady. Jenna Ross arrived with tea for Alma Price. No sugar, Jenna said. You remembered. I listen better now. At 3:40, the first temporary board went across the damaged approach. A worker tapped it into place. The sound was small, almost ordinary, but everyone heard it. Danny checked the brace, then looked at Elijah. Owner's call. Elijah stepped onto the board. It held with a dry creak. He crossed, turned back, and offered Alma his arm. I can manage, she said. I know. She touched the rail with one hand and his sleeve with the other. Her shoe met the new board. It creaked beneath her careful weight. No one spoke. At the far side, Alma patted the white post. There you are. Fresh lumber lay beside old paint Denise had left years ago. New wood. Old hand. Behind them, Bryce signed the acknowledgement on Teresa's SUV hood. The pen dragged at the line for private infrastructure damage. Kent signed a witness statement. HOA board members signed notice of audit. Harold handed Elijah the new procedure. This goes public tonight. Add a number for owners to challenge a map before equipment moves. Teresa wrote it in by hand. Done. Elijah stayed until dusk, fitted the brass plaque into a clean cloth, and rested it on the intact post where his father's name could face the water. Kent came up beside him. Rebuild starts Monday. Under supervision. Yes, sir. Elijah looked at the temporary board and its narrow shadow. Start with what can carry people safely. The rest comes after. 3 months later, frost silvered the grass along Cypress Run before sunrise. The new bridge did not shine like the renderings Bryce Caldwell had carried into the HOA office. Its railings were white, its bolts plain, its load plate small enough that a stranger could miss it. Elijah Mercer stood at the south post with a screwdriver and the old brass plaque. Danny Fox checked the final brace and closed his clipboard. Span is clear for local traffic. No staging, no heavy equipment, no shortcuts. Kent Morrow, now working under Danny's supervision after a mandatory ethics course, nodded from the gravel. Understood. He did not look away this time. Alma Price arrived in her medical van at 7:05. The driver slowed, waited for Elijah's hand signal, then rolled across the planks. The tires made a steady wooden hum. Alma lowered her window. Sounds like your daddy knew what he was doing. Elijah tightened the last screw. He usually did. Beside the old plaque, a smaller new one read, Private Bridge. Owner certification required. See County Registry before use. By noon, the county released its public report. It named the wrong map, the skipped archive check, the false emergency claim, and the damage to private infrastructure. Claire Benton resigned from the HOA board before the removal vote. She agreed to pay part of the settlement and was barred from property committees during the audit period. Bryce Caldwell's investors took control of Harbor Oaks Reserve and replaced his access team. The project survived only after losing its first phase, and the route that had pretended Elijah's bridge was public. There was no celebration at the clubhouse that night. Marla Keene read the new notice policy aloud in a careful voice. Every non-member parcel touching an HOA project now required direct verification, certified notice, and a signed boundary review before equipment could move. Martin Hale sat in the first row with his cap on his knees. Jenna Ross streamed nothing. She kept a printed copy of the report folded inside her lesson planner. Students ask why records matter, she told Elijah outside. What do you tell them? That paper is quiet until someone needs it to speak. He looked toward the creek. That's a good answer. Nora King's article ran the next Sunday. It did not call Elijah a hero. He had asked her not to. It described a bridge, a family trust, a procedure that failed, and the people who stayed silent or finally stepped forward. 2 neighboring counties requested Cypress Hollow's new checklist. Teresa Lyle began each permit intake with one question printed in red. Have archive records been verified independently? On the first warm morning of spring, Elijah returned alone. The creek was lower now, clear enough to show stones. He carried a brush and a can of white paint. At the south rail, where Denise's old handprint had peeled away, he sanded the rough edge, dipped the brush, and pulled one slow line along the wood. A truck passed behind him without slowing. No cones, no alarms, no voices deciding what belonged to whom. He wiped one fleck of paint from his wrist and touched the old brass plaque, built by Mercer. Under it, the new plaque caught the sun. Between them, a thin shadow stayed, but it no longer looked like a wound. Alma's van crossed once more in the distance. The bridge answered softly. Morning held. If this story reminded you of a time when someone's home, land, work, or dignity was ignored, share it in the comments. Your experience may help someone else recognize the moment they need to speak up, document carefully, and refuse to be erased. Share this story with someone who believes justice is not about shouting the loudest, but about standing steady when the truth is inconvenient. And subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and the kind of systemic change that begins when one person refuses to let a wrong decision become normal. Sometimes one bridge, one record, and one calm voice can change more than anyone expected.